Okay, all good.
All right. Well, I just want to just say thank you to James for reaching out a couple weeks ago and giving Tideman Boats the opportunity to present to all you good folks around sounds like around the world. So good afternoon and good evening to everybody. My name is Jeromie Johnston. I'm fairly new to United Plastic, and that's a little bit of a kind of misnomer. So Tideman Boats in the US is actually a joint venture owned by one of the largest plastic fabricators in the United States. So I'm the director of engineering, recently joined in February. So you guys know a hell of a lot more about boats than I do, but I know a lot about plastic fabrication. And then Tideman. So James, you asked me kind of how long have they been making boats? Well, Tideman family, so Bruno Tideman founded the latest Tideman Boats BV based near Amsterdam. And his family's been making boats and ships since the mid 1800s. So he's got quite a lineage that goes back. Apparently they're all named Bruno Tideman. So it's kind of a nice lineage that goes literally over a century. So Tideman Boats BV is, like I said, based in Amsterdam. I'll flip forward here. So founded by Bruno Tideman in 2013. So he's been making boats for about a decade now, and he's about 160 boats in. So not a huge volume. So even if you're in Europe or somewhere else around the globe, it may be unlikely that you've heard of high density polyethylene being used in boat manufacturing. So it's very comparable, and I'll flip through and eventually around the benefits and show you guys some pictures of the boats themselves. But comparable in construction to aluminum boat fabrication. Really looks very similar. Material is less dense, but you have to use a higher thickness. So just 15 millimeter thickness is what you're going to typically see on the hull of the boat. So what Bruno Tideman did, he thought about his business pretty holistically. So you think about carbon footprints, everyone's conscious of the circular economy, especially in Europe, and I think it's coming to the United States. And you think about recycling of material. Well, these boats are actually 100% recyclable. So the bottles and food containers that you see, that's typically low density polyethylene. Well, this is just a higher grade of that material used in a boat. So what Bruno came up with was something he coined the rigid buoyancy boat, RBB. So you guys are probably really familiar with ribs, so rigid inflatables. A lot of the same benefits without the downside of a puncture. So it's a positive buoyancy material. So it's less dense than water. It will float both fresh and salt water. So quite a benefits really for the marine industry. So I know we're stuck on this slide for just a little bit longer. We'll move forward in a second here. So you think about the European operation for Bruno. So he's been in business 10 years, manufacturing the complete boat. You flip over to the United States, the joint venture that United Plastic Fabricating has a majority stake in, partnered with Bruno. It's a JV that doesn't produce boats, not in the sense of an entire boat to sell to an end user. We manufacture hulls. So we take it all the way. You can, the bare hull, if you want to call it, potentially with the console, potentially with some integrated seating. But these are then sold to our partners. So currently have 4 different boat manufacturers that take our hulls, do the complete outfitting, install the power systems, whatever the options customer wants in that place. So a little bit different model. And that's really why United Plastics came as a majority partner. We have 3 locations around the United States, based in just north of Boston. So that's one. And then the one I'm actually stationed at is in Neenah, Wisconsin, which is not far from Green Bay. Go Pack Go. And the other location is in Ocala, Florida. So kind of nice that it worked out. Those are hotbeds for kind of boating and marine industry in general. And we were able to really tackle almost the whole United States. The West is a little bit more tougher. So, and I think it should be noted that Tideman manufactures some standard products, standard hulls. ranging from 6 meters on up to 11. So, roughly, we're at the 19 to 35 footer range, and these are typically focused at workboat applications. So not going to be as cheap as a fiberglass hull, more likely to be comparable to an aluminum hull, which, with workboats, municipal operations, that kind of application. Yeah, Nick, we'll just kind of flip through unless there's any questions right off the bat. We'll dive in. All right, so really, what is HDPE? And I've kind of hinted at this, and James, you asked me kind of, what form does it take? How thin can it come? But essentially, if you see a number 2 kind of recycling symbol, that is high density polyethylene. It is something that's used in food, FDA, NSF, USD approved material, and it's really used in a wide variety of applications. So it's military armor, cutting boards, plastic bottles, and kind of a fun fact, and we have done this, Bruno's done this, fired bullets into the polyethylene. So you think about a military application, the material won't heal completely, but as the bullet penetrates the side of the boat, it actually leaves a smaller hole than the actual diameter of the bullet itself. So it has a little bit of self-healing to it. An additional kind of fun, innovative design, the inside of the hull is filled with polyethylene flotation balls as well. So kind of a double, the material itself is lighter, it will float, but if you do get a puncture, God forbid, you do have the flotation balls to keep the boat afloat. So virtually, I like to say virtually unsinkable. So kind of top 10, if the Letterman show, you have top 10 reasons, but for HDPE. So reason number 1, it's multi-talented. So I've talked about this quite a bit. You can see the densities there, lighter than water, makes it really extremely buoyant, and drives that additional safety factor. Reason 2, zero corrosion. So it's plastic. I mean, you can go years, decades, you don't have to wash it out. It's not going to corrode, not be affected, really the ravages of time that you see in the marine industry. And we'll talk about this too. It does have UV inhibitors in it as well, carbon UV inhibitors. So zero corrosion, zero maintenance, which is not common in the marine industry, as you guys well know. Reason number 3, so it's resistant to marine growth. I would love to say that no marine growth, attaches to the HDPE, but it is minimal. It's far less than it would be on aluminum and steel, and does not require, in fact, you'd be hard pressed to get anti-fouling coatings to stick to the polyethylene itself. In general, if you're in a kind of a warmer environment, high sediment, and you do get barnacles attaching, they tend to come off much easier than an aluminum or steel hull. So reason number 4, aggressive liquids don't harm it. If you get to some, higher temperatures, 120, 130 degrees, yeah, you can get some degradation from gasoline and others, but at typical operating environments, it's going to hardly affect the material itself. And reason 5, it's impact resistant. So Bruno is pretty famous for taking a sledgehammer to the side of these boats. It's quite amazing to see it. You kind of cringe when he swings that sledgehammer, but it doesn't leave a dent, and it won't kind of fracture the material. It's viscous enough to absorb it. So really, impact resistance, another huge benefit. The elastic properties of the HDPE. And I mentioned this already, so it is UV resistant, and that's really one of the beauties. So United Plastic does fabrication with other thermoplastics, polypropylene, for example, and we use that within fire truck tanks. So we build 50-gallon up to 4,500-gallon tanks, just giant, out of polypropylene. The downside of that, those tanks need to have some type of coating if they're going to be exposed to the sun. Not so with high density polyethylene. Has the carbon mixed in, UV inhibitors, and it can last years upon years in direct sunlight. All right, and reason number 7, the construction is fairly unique. So you don't have to have a mold. So it's not like glass reinforced plastic. You don't need molded. It's constructed by welding sheets of HDPE. In this case, typically 15 millimeter, but it comes in, you know, all different thicknesses, and attaching those sheets together with what's called extrusion welding. So you're actually taking a HDPE rod, feeding it in, chopping it up into little tiny pieces, heating it to a molten state, and then just like aluminum welding, you know, joining those two surfaces together. And I'll show you a picture in just a little bit. It essentially, just like aluminum fabrication, you're building the inside structure of the boat itself, and then welding the skin onto that structure. So you're forming around whatever internal structure there is and creating the geometry. And that's the nice thing. We can take boats that are designed for and built out of aluminum and redesign them, essentially converting them to high density polyethylene, similar geometry. And then easy to repair. So, you know, if you did have a ding, a nick, you know, if you really got aggressive, a tear in the field, it can be repaired. You know, we can ship out do-it-yourself welding kits. And then for larger repairs, we have a team of technicians that can go on site and weld it back together. And I think I mentioned this earlier, it has a low carbon footprint, 5 times lower actually than aluminum from the production processes themselves. And it's virtually indestructible. So I mean, you're getting operation likely up to 40 years for a lot of these boats. And like I said, Bruno's only been in business for 10 years. The US based joint venture started actually earlier this year. So it's brand new to the US. So love to see these boats decades to come.
Can I jump in with a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Question from Gary. Can ablative or modified epoxy bottom coatings be used?
Yeah, no coatings that I'm aware of will stick to the HDPE.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, we've been asked a question, can you get it in any color besides black? And it's Henry Ford right now. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. But there are some manufacturers in Germany that are cracking the code to different colors. So can we get to a Solos boat? Can we get to, you know, a pleasure boat that's in a lighter color? I think that's coming in the next couple of years. And then I mentioned this already, 100% recyclable. Don't recommend melting your boat down, but you could at some point in time. Okay, so here is just a picture of a boat mid-process. In this one, I think is a 7 meter. So, and this one's being manufactured in Europe. We do have boats in process right now. I mentioned the business started earlier this year in the US, and we've manufactured and shipped 1, and we have 2 boats in process right now and more on order. So you can see that the inner structure is welded together, first cut on CNC routing machines. So this is all precision CAD designed, sent, cut out CNC routers, and then welded together and formed into shape. So there is certainly some craftsmanship to this. So just like aluminum welding, there is some training. If you want a weld to look good, you're going to have well-trained welders, which we do. And that's why, you know, Bruno wanted to partner with a plastic fabricator that was capable. So just these are European-based classification and certification societies that have signed on to HDPE. We are ABYC, volunteering compliant to those certifications or standards, sorry, in addition. And then also from a welding standpoint, there are 2 standards that we abide by. One is called DVS, based in Germany, and then AWS, which you guys are probably familiar with, has a standard as well in the US for thermoplastic welding. So let's jump in. I'll play a video, get to see some of these boats in action. Cross your fingers, hopefully this works.
Tideman workboats are made out of 15 to 20 millimeter HDPE sheets. They have a low carbon footprint, are 100% recyclable, lightweight, and inert to chemicals such as fuel. They have a long lifespan with no aging or corrosion. You can choose from several in- and outboard propulsion packages ranging from single or twin inboard diesel with water jet or stern drive, and petrol or diesel outboard engines. You can install all major engine brands. Tideman boats can operate near rocky shores in shallow waters and Arctic conditions. Indestructible workboats are what you need when working in rough environments. The RBB has an open center console or cabin layout. From high-speed intercepting to dive support and patrolling, dredging support to crew tendering, anchor handling, and surveying tasks. One concept, three sizes. And you can choose the options to fit your requirements, like propulsion, fenders, seats, and T-top. Tideman boats are fast, impact resistant, and shock absorbing. They have no vulnerable tubes, but detachable PU foam fenders. Also suitable for military applications because of their stealth, low radar signatures, and self-healing capabilities due to the PE ball-filled compartments. And they all fit on a trailer inside a container for easy transport and storage, with a service workshop on the other side. Smart, safe, and strong. That's a Tideman.
Yeah, question.
So outboards,
Yeah.
what are you doing to strengthen your transom? And
Yeah, so those are,
incorporating them into the spares?
yeah, so the transom is actually out of 40 millimeter HDPE. And then for the larger outboards, we're including a metal plate as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's all welded. The design is, just like you say, integrated into the
So
internal.
there still wouldn't be any aluminum or anything else like that?
No, correct. Yeah, and somebody said the Ox diesel. Yeah, the Ox is a good partner of ours and very applicable to Tideman boats. Yeah.
What properties, how does it compare weight-wise to like fiberglass or aluminum?
Yeah, for aluminum, you're going to be comparable in weight. So essentially, you're going to have to use a material that's 3 times as thick, although it's a third the weight. So, at 20,
3 times as thick is going to be
equal to the aluminum in weight. Yeah, we actually compared a Metal Shark 29-footer to our comparable size boat. They were both about 3,000. I think the aluminum was 200 pounds more. So 3,200 versus 3,000. Yeah.
And how about
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Mostly because we're not really competing much against fiberglass. So I'd have to get back to you. I do know. Go ahead, Matt.
Do you have any known competitors? Because I feel like in the last couple of years, I've seen some quote unquote bigger plastic center consoles for sale.
Yeah, there's a competitor in Brazil, I believe, and one in Australia. But in the US, to my knowledge, there isn't at least a major competitor. You guys may have heard of Whaley, so different market completely. So they use roto-molded high density polyethylene, so different properties actually and different designs. But
Triumph, I don't know where they exist.
Triumph, yeah, I've heard that. Yep.
You don't have the issues that they did, right? Where sun beats on one side, you can see the degradation involved.
Yeah, I think a different, as far as I know, different material property, high density gets you to it. It's a PE 100 pipe grade HDPE that's got the carbon based inhibitors. So yeah, a few more pictures here just to show you guys. So there's Ox front and center there. Carrie would love it. So I know that black, they tend to be very utilitarian, but I want to say they do show well, and we're seeing interest, not just from the workboat commercial industry. We're seeing interest from recreational, guys that want to go fish, especially from some, captains for hire, if you will. They're out there fishing on a daily basis, taking, customer boats out. They beat the crap out of, pardon my French, the sides of the fiberglass boats. Aluminum, you're going to dent it with large weights. and not the case with the HDPE.
A couple of questions for you from the online guys. Gary says, do they require monthly cleanings? And Malcolm wants to know, does Tideman make dinghies?
So no cleaning required from a static standpoint. If you want to pressure wash or hose down, if you do get a little bit of buildup, it does come off quite easily. And then the second question from Malcolm there around dinghies. So I think that's what you meant. We're going down to John boats, skiff style boats. Those are coming. So we've got the larger boats now up to 35 feet, but you'll see it downsize, and the material will be a little thinner. So the boat won't be as heavy as using the 15 mil, likely be down to a 3/8 inch thick material. But the answer is yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. And just a few more pictures of boats. So obviously you get center console, you get cabins. I mentioned before, we don't require a mold, so we can design and fabricate to suit. So our partners, some of which are suggesting we convert their boats, and you give them kind of exclusive rights to sell their boat model in HDPE. So quite a unique opportunity, and they can sell and almost compete against themselves. So don't want to disrupt their business, but does give them an initial option besides aluminum. And one more picture, the T-top. So any other questions? Yeah.
On the cabin boats, are the cabins are actually made out of the same material, right?
The cabins are not. So typically, our partners will fabricate those, put the cabins on. Yeah, from a structural standpoint, it just doesn't make sense for the cabins. And the other reason is the expansion and contraction of the HDP itself makes putting windows in really difficult. So that's one limitation.
What was that comment again about the colors? I mean, just black.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're up north, that's one thing, but if you're not,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's.
you wouldn't even be able to sit on it.
So it's a good point. So the what is it, K factor or K value for HDPE versus aluminum, it's a fraction. So you can stand on black HDPE and you're not going to feel it. You're not getting burned. It takes us so long for that energy to transfer to your foot versus standing on aluminum.
So could you wrap the boats?
You can wrap it. It won't be a long-term thing. Yeah, it's not going to stick. Even 3M's best adhesive is still going to eventually, peel off. So, but colors, I promise, are coming. I don't know that we'll get to white, but I think different lighter colors, kind of orange and greens, kind of fun stuff like that.
Would the boat work for a rib type application?
Yeah, we can put collars on. Let's say a foam collar, something like a Safe Boats type collar. Certainly could put the bracketry and have the collar. Not needed from a, we have HDPE smaller collars we can put on, but we can certainly do foam as well. Yeah. What's that? Damage? Oh, freezing. Yeah. So we can operate safely down to about -60. So if you're in much more than that, it's it's not a good day. And we can go up to 140 degrees, 150. So pretty good operating range. Yeah.
Okay, so I know I'll probably ask a bunch of last question. So the other one I have is flotation. Okay, on a smaller boat, you have to put in permanent flotation.
Yep.
Will you have to do that with yours too, or will it just float?
Coast Guard, so we're not below 20 yet.
Right.
Once we do get to that point, we'll have to have the conversations with the Coast Guard and get the approval. And we have the right contacts. Haven't crossed that bridge yet. Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.